Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. So I'm going to go ahead and get some oats in the ground. Oop, I got to cultivate first, I keep forgetting that. I'm used to most of my other series, I either have direct seeders or whatever, so I always forget. But anyway, back into character. So heading over to the field here. So if I can, my goal today is pretty difficult. I'm going to cultivate the field, plant the field, and then fertilize the two fields. So that is the hope of what I can get done before I run out of day. It is March, so yeah, I think we've got some crazy low temperatures is what we're seeing there. Alright, so go ahead and just start moving along here. So yeah, I think that's why the canola's got that look. At least I hope that's why the canola's got that look. Because overnight it was snowing. And since it's technically first day of spring, you know, obviously that'll run a little more cold than it will later on. And I don't know, maybe during the day it'll warm up, and because even on the grass here you can see we kind of have some frost. So I think again our normal route here where I'll try to get lined up and maybe skip every row and just go around, get this taken care of. But gonna go ahead and do that, and I will see you when I'm done. Getting the last part of plowing done here, so as you can see, just a little over 2 hours to get everything wrapped up. So we've been getting some notices that the chickens, I think, have run out of space. So I'm going to need to address that in between. I think, I'm not sure, you know, the last thing we want is them to be, you know, creating a situation where they're like piling up strangely and, you know, or worse, the chickens can't function. So, anyway, let me get back, and I think I'll get the trailer over, and then we'll just have to quickly take a peek and then run some eggs and put them on the trailer, and then we'll basically have, because if we have filled up, which is not surprising overnight, then we'll have the 5 pallets we need for the full load, so we can basically get that set and get that staged, so that once we're done, you know, the challenge is we're probably still going to need to start stacking eggs up other places. I think I was further along here. So at least these tractors and implements are small enough that I can maneuver like that. So yeah, we definitely have some eggs here. So I'll get these up, and obviously I'm going to have to go get my trailer over here. But we'll go ahead and get these stacked and get them ready for transport, and then allow the chickens to continue laying some eggs. Alright, so I have gotten the eggs out of the way. It'll be fully open now, so hopefully production will start going forward again. Just want to quickly connect up here and strap things down. So there we go. Now they're all set and they'll be safe to go. So now back to the work at hand, which is now getting the field planted with oat. So now we'll grab the seeder, as opposed to the slight problem we had this morning. Luckily I didn't get to the field and remember I had to cultivate. That tends to usually be my problem. Alright, so we're going to get here. Oops. Going to fill up. So we are topped off. It is nice having the supplies here on the farm. I don't think I know I didn't run any fertilizer over, so I'm thinking I may not quite have such an easy time with that, although I do need to keep an eye on how many seeds I have. Alright, so... oh goodness, do I have... it looks like somehow I again have expand field on. I hope I've turned it off. So, not quite sure how that mistakenly gets turned on. Obviously I kind of messed things up on one end, and the goal is hopefully not to do it again on the other end. So, looks like we're now, I think we were just at low a moment ago on seeds, but now we're up at the high level. So, hopefully again we won't have anything unexpected here. Doesn't look like we overran anything. Alright, I think we're good. We put the planter down. Now, I'm not quite sure why it shows up the way it did there. It looks okay. So I think we, again, because we were maybe at one point trying to create the fields, it looks a little strange and stubbly. So I'm not quite sure why it was doing that. And I think we're at 3 rows over when we're planting. This is high output of the seed now. I think this was the kind of lower capability of the soil. So let's just make sure, yep, no grass is coming up. So, alright, I think I've got everything set on my equipment now properly, which is important. The challenge is obviously, as you can see, I've got a little bit of kind of dancing on the field to go, but I think I've got my process. I do unfortunately think that the seeding is going to take longer than the plowing. It's just, or the cultivating, it's just a smaller working width. I mean, the good news is it's still a decent speed. So we'll proceed along. We'll get this done. Again, the next piece is obviously the fertilizing. So I'm probably going to have to refill this planter, I would imagine, too. It is a pretty big field, but I'll obviously do what's necessary. But I'll see you in a bit. Alright, the last part of the field here. We'll see. Little under 900 liters. get this picked up. We'll head on out. So yeah, we used only half the cedar for all this, so it was actually not nearly as difficult or as consuming as I thought it was going to be. The way it was going, obviously I'm terrible at estimating with this planter, but that first row I was like, wow, like we've got a lot here, but didn't really turn out to be a problem. So we've got oats in the ground, and the last thing to do now is get those things fertilized, which will go very, very quickly, which is good because we are getting into, you know, mid-afternoon here. Alright, get ourselves connected to the breedall. Don't know if this will be enough, but we will find out shortly. I'm not going to go ahead and take time to fill, because I think we're okay. Yeah, that's alright. I was a little bit late. And, you know, we can drive through the bushes as we've seen and so forth, but, you know, not always the way we want to go. So, alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get this done on the headlands here again, as we've normally done. So you can see on our mini-map, we're going up quite a bit, 140, 145 kilograms, 155 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare. So we are definitely doing a good amount here. I'm going to go ahead and go down the other side while I'm doing that. I have not set my GPS here, so I'm definitely going to want to do that and then adjust it later. You know, wheat's getting close, I think. I'm going to go do some checking of the fields in a bit, just so I understand what I'm probably looking at. I think I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I'm going to turn this off, because, yeah, like I can see we're going to have a problem here, and we did. Missed that corner even, with the way it hit things. So, alright, so we got the canola on sandy loam. Now we're going to get wheat, or oat, not wheat. I think I'm going to run down at the bottom too. Now the oats clearly require less. As we can see, we're only dropping about 60, 65, now 75, so it's going up a bit, but certainly not anything like the canola was from a requirements standpoint. Alright, so we'll get run up here, and while I put the GPS on, sometimes it's just so fast to get these fields done that I'm just not sure that I even use it, and if I do, I just use it a couple times, obviously, because then I'm across the field before I know it. Alright, so once I get up here, we've got that done, and then we can go ahead and get myself set up here. So yeah, you can see the canola needed 180. So it is up there for certain. Alright, so I'll turn it on because the precision farming sensors will not spread until it needs to spread. So there we go. That should get us in the full space. But the good news is, you know, we'll then be dragging up our harvest or our yield, which we want, or, you know, because that is just a crucial thing, especially on this field, if you recall. It's all sandy loam, so, or loamy sand, I'm sorry. Always get those mixed up. So, never turned off the spreader, which is always a great thing on how precision farming operates. I really love that technology and how it's made agriculture just much, much more efficient. And I just assume they're going to keep making improvements over time and just keep getting better and better. Alright, so we're likely to... we're probably not going to reach the other field. We're going to get real close, but... So there we go. After this pass, we're fully done with canola. So this is where usually I can always throw in fertilizer at the end of the day, because with the spreader we've got that my uncle left, you know, well, he left because that's what he was using, but either way, it's just really, really a nice piece of equipment. Definitely love it. Makes things work really, really well. Now the oats aren't going to need much, so yeah, we'll be great on not having to go get any more fertilizer. Now we were at like, I think 53%, so it's not that we haven't used any, but you know, at this point, now that we're down on the oats, we're going to use a lot less than we were up on the canola field, and that's a certainty. So, stay here. Probably might be 3 more passes, but we might not even have that much to do, so give you a little bit of a view through the trees again. Definitely nice around here, especially early spring. The leaves are just starting to bud up, so still pretty easy to see through things. So yeah, I'm thinking we're going to stay above even 4,500 liters left, so we'll still be in great shape. And this is all good, because then we're not consuming significant amounts of supply, and that makes things a lot more profitable. And that's why instead of being at 100,000 pounds, we've kind of been knocking on the door of 200,000. And certainly once I get that barley thing solved, it was just so close last time for getting that delivered. But, you know, we owe them a full order, and I would expect nothing less if I was them, so we will get that taken care of, but obviously it's going to take several months before we can get barley over to them. So it does kind of throw things off a bit as far as just how things are going to function. You know, normally if I had finished that barley, like those eggs that I just had to deal with, I would have just taken those to market, because we would have been starting the level 3 orders. But at this point, we are at what, it's only 2:30, so I'm going to take a look and see if there's anything else that needs to get done on the farm. Alright, I'm going to go ahead here. And I think what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and I'm going to mow the grass, at least on one of the fields. And just start getting that hay work going. Let me get this thing parked. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and use this tractor. I'm going to put this weight down over here. Because I need to hook up to both the front and the back as I go ahead and do this. But yeah, I just really don't want to put the time to waste. If I can do something, you know, it's nice to have a leisurely afternoon and evening, but I'm going to be kicking myself later if I didn't take advantage of things. You know, again, the hay's a ways away, but if I got to start having animals, it might be important to have hay for TMR and stuff like that. So, you know, that's the one challenge, is I have not seen the, you know, we don't seem to have a mixer or anything on site for that. So we could always just feed them, but it's a little more efficient to do it another way. And I don't remember if the storage was available for all that other material as well. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and do this field. Again, I just used this with the GPS, but yeah, the Valtra I think was going to be too small. Oops, I probably need to be inside here to do this, because when everything unfolds, it's going to be pretty wide. Alright, so between the front and the back, we're going to cover everything. And let's see, we'll lower down, and turn everything on, and let's see what we got. Alright, so we are mowing, which is the most important thing, because if it was a little early, it wouldn't let us, but given that we haven't touched this grass and we've been here for the better part of 9 months, you know, clearly that's how we want it. You know, it would have been very surprising to me if I couldn't get the grass here. Alright, I was just taking a quick look to see if the mower could, you know, output things in a line. Usually those are the more powerful. They're not the attachments. They're kind of the purpose-built mowers, and then it saves you the time of windrowing and tedding and all that stuff. So, so yeah, the challenge here is going to be, ooh, that was, did I miss some? I did. Alright, so I think if I just move back over it, it'll be fine. But the challenge is going to be, if I'm putting in cows, and I don't think I have barns for anything else, so certainly don't want to be demolishing buildings and putting in something else. But if I go that route, for TMR, if I remember, I'm going to need grass. I think I need silage too, though. So I'm going to need grass, silage, and hay. And so it's a decision of, do I want to let this go? But I do need to get hay for delivery, if nothing else. I mean, the grass will grow relatively quickly, and again, I mean, that's, I think the level 5 order is, you know, we're on level 2, so we have 3 and 4 in between here. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and get all this done in to turn it into hay, to service that order first. Just trying to see here. I think I probably, to do this right, I probably need to go around one more time. It just seems like it's really tight to turn on the field. So let me run another headland here. And that should give us enough of the spacing. And I think we're dealing with, yeah, you can see the mower, at least one of the mowers, probably the back mower. Not great for its repair status. And it looks like I'm going to have to touch up some of those corners. It's somehow leaving a segment when I turn, so I've got kind of slop over there in the corner I just left. I missed a little bit there. Just trying to be thorough. I'm a little, it's probably literally not even going to be noticeable in the output of the grass, but just would be nice. So yeah, I think I'm going to mow all of these fields, so 12 and 11, and then I'm going to go ahead and get it ready to get turned into hay, which means I need to windrow it, but likely ted it as well, to spread it out a bit. Actually, I might. So this is where I get a little lost, because I don't do grass work a lot. So see, we've got these like sloppy areas. So there's this. We've got this. The good news is mowers work in either direction, so just backing over these will mow them. So there we go. I think I'm all set there. Because windrowing I normally, I think, need to do if I'm picking it up with a forage wagon. But if I just want it to dry, I think I can just ted it. I don't know, I might have to call somebody, and live up to my newbie farmer name in this case, because this is just something I'm not as comfortable with. So let me see. And it looks like that is where the GPS is set. So now I'm going to just start running across. Now it should go much, much faster, because I'm not steering, I'm not being careful. I guess I'm being careful, that's not accurate, but you know what I mean. I'm less likely to have a catastrophic error doing what I'm doing here. Alright, so let me just get this, because this was the corner I was talking about being a little sloppy. So there we go, we've got those, and now I can just go across. So I'll get this field done. I'll pop back over when I start working on field 11, just so you can get a visual of that and enjoy some of what's happening on that field as I cut it up. And somewhere in there, I'll understand if I need to windrow and ted, or ted and windrow. And I'll let you know what I find. Alright, so starting out here on 11. You can see we've got a good amount, so there's really only one way onto each of these fields. So yeah, it looks like we need to ted to turn it into hay. The challenge is, I did forget, in creating TMR, that does require mineral feed, which I think we have to buy. I don't think there's any way to make that. So there's then a cost, but I guess the idea is, we'll be recouping it with milk the cows produce and so forth. And obviously we've got the slurry as part of a VIP portion, which, while slurry in and of itself isn't extremely profitable usually, because you're usually talking, at least what I've seen, 20 or 30, in this case it'll be pounds a liter, versus anything substantial. So now we are cutting the grass that is off the field too, because it's grass. I mean, it's a mower, so you can see we've got some of that going on, and we can probably grab it with a tedder and pull it out of the trees. We'll see. If not, maybe it'll just sit there. But I don't know. I'm just, that's definitely something I'm going to have to figure out what I want to do, and more importantly, how quickly I want to start doing stuff like that. But yeah, we need hay, straw, or hay, grass, and silage. I don't remember for TMR. I had looked at it when I had talked to my neighbor about it, but I didn't write it down real well, or put it in my head. I didn't get it in my head really well, so obviously I'm going to have to do a little bit more research. So I'm doing the same thing here, which is running a couple times around the field so that I can then more efficiently mow. And obviously this time I'm kind of cleaning things up in the corners and not leaving them unless I've missed it, which is possible. I may have simply been blind. But I think I've been pretty careful in the way I'm turning the corners. So I think this will finish this little piece here. And then I'll be able to... Oops, I missed a bit there. So as I said, I'm trying to be careful, but this is the stuff. So it looks like kind of what's under the tractor when I make a tight turn is what's causing the problem. So go this way. That'll create some broader grass swaths. Now it does say to make hay easier to pick up, we want to windrow it, but my thing is I think we want to wait for it to turn into hay and then pick it up. And I've also got to figure out if I've got anywhere in the farm to store hay, because I'm thinking I'm just going to bale things, which then becomes a question of, do I have to break the bales apart to put them in TMR mixers? This is all going to get real interesting real fast, I think. So, yeah. One thing at a time, I guess. Let me focus on what I've got here. I think I'll have enough time to TED this, because that'll be good, because then it'll start going through the drying cycle, and we may have hay before we know it. The other piece, as I've walked my fields, I think my wheat is going to be ready tomorrow, which is good, because we can harvest it. Again, we're going to have to hold it. But then more importantly, depending on how quick things go, I may only do one field just to be very, very quick, but try to get that barley in, because at this point the barley is kind of my log jam for everything else I need to do with the VIPs. So, it's not as if they're calling me and ringing my phone off the hook, hey, what's going on, for my level 3 orders. I think they all work together and understand that this is how they've set up the process with our farm, and so they get the fact that I wasn't able to fulfill that barley order, and they're waiting, but that means I just need to put this wheat away. Now the other challenge I'm going to have is I think we're going to have chickens to feed, so I'm going to have that going on as well. So there's a lot of complexity that's starting on this farm pretty quick that I wasn't really expecting, because I thought I'd just focus on the VIP orders and all would be good, but to keep things running that help those VIP orders, like eggs, I'm finding I need to feed my chickens. So that obviously is important. And we put in whatever it was, 15,000 sorghum just the other day, late yesterday afternoon when I got on this morning and walked down to the chicken coop. I saw they were already down to about 11,000 liters according to the measurement on the feed bin there. So they ate 4,000 liters in less than, probably in 12 hours. So if I've got to feed them 8,000 liters every day or every month, that's going to get difficult to then fill other things. So that's where, especially like field 11, this one's not that big, but field 12, as I was mowing it, I was getting some temptation of maybe I turn this into a crop and don't have it be a grass field. But I think I'm going to need a lot of grass too to meet all the other demand we've got going on. So as I said, there's just complexity starting on this farm pretty quick that I wasn't expecting. But definitely enjoying the guidance and the direction of the VIP orders. That is for certain. It helps my farm stay focused, lets me know, what I can do to make some extra money. I'm sure it helps the community to some degree, because I'm sure whatever these VIPs want those orders for, they're profiting from it too, which probably means, for example, when I'm dumping barley off, whether they may be turning that into something in some sort of production that then goes ahead and provides something additional to the folks around Riverview. So pretty good. And again, this is why I got into farming and like farming is, what's more important than providing food and other things for other folks, just being of service and getting what we need done. So let me turn everything off here, fold it up. Alright, so we are mowed. I think that was a deer on the field. I just saw that little brown spot as I swung around. But, so, coming up on 5 o'clock. It will be getting a little dark, but again, I'm kind of motivated here because I think otherwise, once I start working with the wheat, figuring out what I need to do, it's going to get more and more challenging to find time to do stuff on the field here. And I'm hoping, I think the tedder is wider. Tedders can be wider, I guess. Whoops, hold on. Yeah. Like, that's where I got the mower from. So, right now, until I decide somehow I don't like where things are stored, and right now I really haven't run into anything like that. And some of that is, it's a pretty tight farm, as I've said, so, I don't know that... Whoops, that's not going to work. Wrong disconnection. Got to pay attention to my controls on my tractor. But in my defense, this is the first time I've had an implement on the front and the back, so it's just not something I normally do. Oops, and now I didn't have it selected, so now I'm not dropping it. Alright, so the question is, the tedder and the windrower, what have I got here? Alright, so I think those are rollers. I think the tedder is the red one. So I'll probably do them in the opposite order now. I'll probably just TED 11 first, since I'm here. I mean, I was here when I got the mower, but I just headed up to 12 because I knew it was larger and I wasn't sure on timing how things would go, so. But yeah, taking a look at that blue implement, that's a grassland roller, but I'm not quite sure. A roller and weeder, but we're not using weeds here, so we don't have the weed problem. Oh, I love it. That does look nice and large. So, let's see. Is this doing anything? You know why it's not doing anything? Because I haven't lowered it. Goodness gracious. What is wrong with my brain? That looks kind of messy. I'll be honest. It's just throwing things everywhere. Now, usually hay needs to dry, but I'm wondering if I'm getting hay right out of there. Let me take a peek here. No, I think it's, I mean, unless it's gonna say hay, I assume it will say hay, but it's still saying grass. Should make sense. So that would be like super easy if all I needed to do was stir it up and then suddenly it was hay. But the biggest problem is, I think if it rains, obviously things take longer, and then I'm going to have things rotting out, potentially, or just taking forever to dry. So I'm hoping, the problem is, obviously, as we know, April showers bring May flowers. I'm assuming spring is going to be a little more rainy time of year than anything else I can really do. I'm just trying to figure out how best to get this piece up here. And that's probably all I'm going to be able to do. I think I did get it, though. Yep, it looks like I threw it around. Let me lift this up, because at this point I'm just making a mess, and I'm going to end up throwing things off the field more than I need to. So let me get positioned here and get these fields tedded. So I'll do that, and we'll be back. We'll see how things are at that point. Tedding getting finished. A little after 7 p.m., so definitely a full day today. We'll see how everything evolves in the morning. But, you know, a lot done. You know, we cultivated, planted a field, fertilized a couple fields, mowed a couple fields, and tedded a couple fields. So as I said, lots of progress made today. Definitely, we're going to get something out of it. I'm just feeling a little overwhelmed right now because I got things going through my head about cows and everything else. To get cows, unlike chickens, we're going to need a trailer. We don't have an animal trailer. We don't have a TMR mixer, so there's money that's going to be leaving the farm at some point here. And that is part of what's going on as well. So I'm going to head off to bed. I'm going to relax, put my feet up, maybe watch a little TV before I get some shut-eye as I eat my dinner. But I'm going to see you all tomorrow.